Perfect. All right. I'm gonna share my screen. Tell me if this works. Okay. Why am I? Okay, so yes, we are Science Policy Network Detroit, and we are an organization started in 2020 that is here to basically um, advocate for science policy, help for science and evidence-based policies, provide science communication training, and basically just bridge that gap between scientists and policymakers and the lay public. So um, this is everybody on our board this year. We have a really great group of people coming in, including some new people. You guys can introduce yourselves if you want, or if we don't want to do that, that's also okay.
Hi, I'm Mark. I am the Vice President of SciPol this year. I'm currently pursuing my MPH in epidemiology. So I will pass that off to maybe Natalie if you feel like sharing.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Natalie. I'm the SciPol treasurer, and I'm a PhD candidate in the cancer biology graduate program at the School of Medicine. Go Clara.
Hi, everyone. I'm Clara. I'm a postdoc in the School of Medicine in the Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Neuroscience. My research focuses on how toxins in the environment impact brain development and mental health. And I will pass it off to McKenna.
Hi, I'm McKenna. I'm on the communications team and I'm a lab manager in the School of Medicine in the Department for Psychiatry and Behavioral Neurosciences. Um, I'll pass it to Simi.
Hi, my name is Simi. I'm a senior public health major and medical humanities minor, and I'm the secretary this year. I'll pass it off to Matthew.
All right. Hello, I am Matthew. I am a senior in neuroscience, and I currently work at Karmanos Cancer Institute in investigational drugs and discovery, and I also work at the SARD lab at Toland Park. And let me see, who is left? All right, I'll pass off to Caitlin.
Hi everyone. I'm Caitlin. I am currently in my last semester in the Masters of Counseling Psych program at Wayne State. And I'm the events coordinator this year. And I will pass it off to Summer.
Hi guys, I'm Summer. I am the membership coordinator with SciPol and I'm an undergraduate student right now. I think the last person is Sarah, or if anybody else didn't go.
Yeah, hey everyone, my name's Sarah. I'm on the events coordinator team and I'm an undergraduate student at Wayne State majoring in neuroscience with a double minor in economics and public health.
Alam, introduce yourself real quick. If you have a chance, I know you're in lab right now, so.
Hi, sorry, I was having some connection issues too. My name is Ahlam or Alam. I'm on the communications team this year. Right now, I'm a research assistant in the biology department. Hence, if you hear any lab noise or anything, that's from me. I'm sorry, I couldn't get away.
All right, thank you guys. So yeah, this is our e-board for the year. We're very excited to get started on our events and everything in the coming school year. And if you ever have any questions about SciPol, feel free to reach out to any of us. Okay. We also have two main faculty advisors, Dr. Lana Grasser and Dr. Hillary Marusik. They're both in the School of Medicine, and they are super awesome scientists, boss ladies who help us with everything that we do. Lana, if you want to introduce yourself, you're welcome to.
Sure, thanks, Emma. So, hi everyone. I'm Lana Grasser. I'm actually in the Department of Psychology now in the new Institute for Brain Health. Just a heads up, because I know lots of you are in research assistant roles and maybe thinking about graduate school. I am recruiting a student in the Behavioral and Cognitive Neuroscience program. And I was involved in this group as a graduate student myself, so I love it and feel deeply connected with it. And I'm very happy to be working with you all.
Thank you. Well, we are very excited to have you on as a faculty advisor now. And yeah, so like let me just briefly go into like what we do as an organization, and how you guys can kind of fit into this as new SciPol members. So every year we do our science fair with a twist, which is a kind of like a research showcase for Wayne State researchers and students, but it's also a way for us to get Detroit Public High School students involved to see what research we've got going on down here at Wayne State and kind of flip their normal roles so that they're the judges of this science fair. And it's been a really great opportunity for both the Wayne State researchers and high schoolers over the past 2 years to make those community contacts and just kind of get to know each other as well. We normally have students come from Crockett High School, which is very close to Wayne State's campus, and they get to ask lots of cool science questions and learn about what we're doing, but also just get to talk to some students and see, what their next steps might look like as they transition from high school into college. And we will be holding this event again this year in 2025, probably at the end of March. We're still in the planning phase, but if this is something that you'd be interested in working on, let us know because we always need more volunteers. And especially if you are involved in research, we need presenters as well. So this is kind of one of our big community events. And then we also do advocacy days or Hill days in both Lansing and DC. And so in Lansing, last February, we went up to talk about lead testing, air pollution, mental health coverage, and starting the WSU School of Public Health. And so we meet with state lawmakers. We usually try to get in some meetings with people who are our own representatives or people in the group, and just talk to them about what we believe as scientists and the evidence-based policies that we want to see implemented in Michigan at the state level. It's a really cool opportunity to kind of get involved in the policy making process. And it's also something that we don't just throw people in there, having never done this kind of thing before. We do training beforehand on how to communicate your science with lawmakers. And yeah, if this is kind of like, for most people, this is their first stepping stone into SciPol. And Mark, if you want to add anything, I think you have a great perspective on our Lansing Advocacy Day.
Yeah, so Lansing Advocacy Day is a great way to, like Emma said, get your first involvement kind of in SciPol. Obviously, there are other ways to get involved before then, but it was one of my first major events coming in, and I advocated for the School of Public Health. It's just a good way to practice your talking points and like also just practice crafting points. We have good guidance from Wayne State's Office of, I think it's what, Government Affairs. And they help us out a lot with like what to expect in these meetings and listen to our talking points, making sure that they kind of, follow the nature of what these meetings are supposed to look like and stuff like that. So it's a great way to practice and also observe and just like study or kind of get knowledge on like maybe a newer topic. So yeah. And then Emma, I can keep talking if you want me to. Okay, you can go to the next slide then. So another very similar but very more like ramped up kind of day is our Hill Day. This is when we as an organization go to Washington, D.C., and we usually spend one night there. And basically, it's a very similar structure of like, we have meetings with lawmakers from Michigan, typically from areas that maybe members are from. And then we advocate on certain points that are maybe happening at the federal level. And so last year, for 2024, there was advocacy done on scientific research funding for for universities, kind of just in general. The Mommy Bust Act, which was like a Black Maternal Health Improvement Act, the Environmental Justice for All, and those are just some of the variety of topics that we include. However, every time before we go on one of these trips, we always kind of ask, the people who are coming, like, what are things that you're interested in? What are things that you're passionate about? just so that maybe we can find bills that like as an organization people really want to support. Because obviously that just makes it easier to have these conversations and be able to talk about them if we're actually passionate about them. And so, yeah, these can kind of change from year to year. They generally have the same underlying themes, but and like scientific research funding is something we always try to make sure we sprinkle in there since a lot of us are research people. So yeah, these trips are typically fully funded. We try to cover as much cost for everyone as we can, just so that we're kind of removing barriers from people participating in government because that's always something that we want to try to do. You can go to the next slide. And so upcoming events, we'll preface that maybe fall is like a little bit of our more not as packed time with events. We typically do maybe more smaller scale stuff, things that so that we have more time and energy to prepare for like the Lansing and the DC trips. One of the big things that we have coming up is a virtual Policy 101 seminar with Health Policy Network. Health policy professional, Dr. Nicole Lewis, who works for Lewis and Burke, who is it's of the lobbying firm that's associated with Wayne State. If correct me if I'm wrong, she works for them, and she helped us prepare for Washington D.C. last year, and she was a very active kind of part in that. And so we're gonna have her talk about policy and like maybe different ways to get involved, stuff like that. That will be a virtual seminar that will be happening next week from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on Monday. So if you guys can go to that, we will be sure to post that. And it was also in our most recent newsletter. If you're signed up for the newsletter, it will be in there as well. Next slide.
I'm going to just add on here for a second, Mark. Dr. Lewis is a former PhD scientist, and so she has a really great perspective on transitioning from a career in science into a career in policy and kind of what that intersection between science and policy can look like. So if you are a science major and like, maybe thinking about what your career will look like later, this could be a great kind of intro for you into what science policy careers look like as well. Or if you're just in the sciences and the election it was recently and there's been a lot of things up in the air and people lots of feelings about what's going on, this is also a great way to get like concrete information on what policy is, how policy works with our government. And it's a good way to get involved with that. So if that's something you're interested in, please come by. She's going to be speaking, I think, for about like 45 minutes with some opportunities for questions as well. And I just want to say that Nicole is one of like the sweetest people ever. So if you have questions, I'm sure she would be glad to answer them.
Great. Yep. I echo all of that. And so some other upcoming events. We are planning to do another Lansing advocacy trip again this year. Last year, our Lansing trip got a little, it got canceled just because of the election and everything happening that kind of put a damper on a lot of the plans that we were trying to do. So this year, we're going to come back stronger and more prepared than ever for Lansing. And that will happen. Typically, that happens in maybe earlier March. I think we might try moving it to maybe more February this year. It's earlier in the year. Um, and then Science Fair with a Twist, again, like Emma said, will be in later March, maybe early April. And then DC Hill Day 2025 will be happening in the summer. It will be happening more than likely in like late June, early July. We don't have firm dates for those just yet. We got to reach out to our Office of Government Affairs and stuff like that to get those a bit more cemented because they are a big help with a lot of those days. And they have a good in on like what days will work well, what days won't work well, and all that kind of stuff. All right. If you are new here and this is maybe your first SciPol event, welcome. I'm very glad to have you. If you are interested in becoming a member, is it on the next page? Yeah, here are some reasons if you're not a member yet. It's great on your CV and a resume builder. It's great to engage with the Detroit community and also the wider community. It's a great networking opportunity. Through the people of SciPaul, I've been able to really kind of flesh out maybe my career goals in the future, and like get their input and understand maybe their journeys and stuff like that. It's been wonderful in that sense. And overall, your participation can directly impact how many more SciPaul events we can have, just so we can have a stronger on-campus presence. It's also just great experience in general to be able to talk with policymakers and understand what goes into those kinds of meetings and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's just overall a well-rounded opportunity. SciPaul is a come as you can kind of basis. So, you know, if you maybe can't come to a certain event, we're not going to fault you on that. We understand that everyone has very busy lives and stuff like that. So, if you're going to become a new member, that's going to be a $25 dues payment. But with that, you get special access to events like panels, DC trips, and Lansing, because those trips we prioritize for members of the organization. You could become a member of the e-board in coming years, in certain action groups. Your membership will be listed on our website, and also you'll get a t-shirt out of it. And who doesn't love a t-shirt? Returning members, you will pay a $15 fee just because you're a returning member. And yeah.
Yeah, I do want to emphasize, I know like kind of having dues sometimes is a little like iffy for student organizations, but that money goes directly towards funding these advocacy trips that we do, these events. And so we try to kind of get that cost up front like this so that when we are then pulling together our buses to Lansing and hotels and things like that for DC, it's something that we can cover for people going on those trips. So and then I'm gonna take this one here. These are our main three events that we've kind of been talking about for the meeting today. Our Lansing, DC Science Fair with a Twist. We put on some panels, but we want to know what you guys want to see from SciPaul. So we are open for any ideas of things like community engagement activities, topics that you want to see discussed with experts. Maybe you're interested in letter writing campaigns or other ways to get involved in policy besides just the Hill Days, and we want to know about it. So this QR code will take you to a very short Google form that like literally just asks like, what do you want to see from us? And it's anonymous, and if you would want to fill it out, that can really help us to prepare what we're going to do this year, and provide more opportunities to get involved in science policy. And then this is just for our link tree. So this will take you to the form to become a SciPaul member, the form to get on our newsletter, which is probably the best way besides like our Instagram to hear about upcoming events like these seminars and panels and things like that. And we also post lots of great opportunities on there as well. So we get kind of like funneled things from other places like Representative Shree Thanadar loves to send us internships that he's looking for, right? And so we are trying to disperse those out to you guys, and it's a great way to see, what opportunities are available in science policy in the Detroit community. So if you're interested in that, you can scan the QR code, you can put the Linktree link in, and get on our newsletter. And yeah, I think, Mark, that's all we've got for now. And so, you got anything?
I realized I forgot to mention for dues payment, we typically take it through Venmo, which will also be in the membership form. So if you're a new member, you can pay the dues through that. If you need to pay in cash like that or some other form of payment, just reach out to us and we'll coordinate that for you. But Venmo is the easiest way for us. But like I said, just reach out if you don't have Venmo or something like that, we can definitely work it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this has kind of been our brief overview of who we are as an organization and what our upcoming school year will look like. If you, again, have any questions, feel free to ask. You can always reach out to us at scipoldetroit@wayne.edu, or just to any of the board members here as well. So if anybody else has anything to add, I'll turn the floor over to you.
I was gonna say it's not like super important, but I know Natalie put it in the chat that if you're watching this recorded, you can still please scan the QR code and fill out what you want to see through SciPaul as the one on the previous slide. But definitely it's still open. Please fill it out. Just to put that out there.
And then I would just add to definitely fill out the QR code because we're always looking for new ideas. But I also just want to say that the science fair with a twist was really Emma's idea. And you know, the first couple of years of SciPol, we just had Lansing and DC trips, and Emma really had this great vision that we as SciPol were able to like take and run off with. And now other SciPol groups across the country are starting to think about doing something similar. So if you have a really cool idea or something you would love for us to do or to help you envision, we are more than happy to do that.
Yeah, Clara, that's a great point, even though I think that's a little bit too much credit on my part. We want to do more than just obviously advocate in person for those events, right? But it really comes down to what we as a group are wanting to participate in, what we're willing to do. And so if perhaps like a Lansing and DC Hill Day is just like not something that's possible for you, or is like kind of not the level of involvement that you want to get, then like we are more than happy to help you write policy briefs. Members of SciPol have written academic articles for science policy journals as well. Lana is an absolute amazing person to talk to about that. I think she wrote one with Simi before, and another SciPol member, Katie. Like, there's lots of other opportunities as well that tend to just be on the smaller scale, and so we want to know what you want to do so that we can make those opportunities available to you. All right. Are there any questions, any concerns, anything to add? All right. I was going to say this was definitely going to be a shorter meeting because it's just kind of a general overview of who we are. But I just want to reiterate before we like end the meeting that yes, the policy seminar is Tuesday, November 19th. The day on there was wrong. Tuesday, November 19th at 1 p.m. And if you're still kind of unsure about whether science policy is something that you really are interested in, please go to that and ask Nicole all of your questions. She is a great person to ask about that. And hopefully it'll kind of help ease some worries about, government going forward. And then, yeah, if you have any questions at all, I'll stay on a little bit after this meeting, and you can always email us at scipoldetroit@wayne.edu. Thanks, guys.